Okay, let's unpack this. I need you to picture something with me. It's a little ridiculous, but also kind of deeply unsettling.
I'm intrigued. Go on.
All right, so imagine you had this, I don't know, a massive party years ago, way back.
Okay.
And at this party, somebody, without you knowing, sets off an invisible glitter bomb in your house.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a nightmare scenario.
It is. And now, decades later, that glitter is still, well, it's everywhere. It's in the dust, it's clinging to your clothes, it's baked into your nonstick pans. You can't see it, but it's just there forever.
That is, unfortunately, a very good analogy for our deep dive today. We're talking about PFAS, and polyfluoroalkyl substances.
Or as we all call them, forever chemicals.
Exactly.
So yeah, our mission today is to figure out how these persistent little things got absolutely everywhere, and more importantly, what we can actually do to minimize the damage.
And they really earn that name forever. They stay in the environment for, thousands of years. But the critical part is they slowly poison us through something called bioaccumulation.
Meaning they just build up. Your body can't get rid of them.
It can't, not easily. So they just keep building up in your tissues, in your fat cells over your entire life.
And when we say building up, we mean in pretty much all of us. This is the stat that just floored me. Research shows that 97% of Americans have tested positive for these chemicals.
97%.
They're literally in our fat. They've even found them in breast milk. This isn't some, theoretical threat. We are already hosting them.
And they're linked to some really serious issues: cancer, liver damage, and a big one is thyroid and hormone disruption.
So how do we get here? Where did they even come from?
Well, we have to go back to the late 40s, early 50s. They were designed, ironically, to be indestructible, which is great for, say, an industrial product.
But terrible for human biology.
Terrible. And like you said, they're in all the convenient places. We know the biggest exposure is the water supply, but they're also hiding in plain sight all over your house.
Right, like Teflon, the non-stick cookware.
That's the classic example. That amazing non-stick surface comes at a very high cost. It's also in food packaging.
So that greasy pizza box or the takeout container.
The lining inside, yep. And in canned goods. A really surprising one, though, is firefighter foam. It's a major exposure route for first responders.
So my question is always, didn't someone run a single safety test before launching this indestructible chemical into the entire world?
You would think so. You would
Yeah.
hope so. But this is where it gets a little comedic, I guess. We have to talk about the regulatory loophole called Generally Recognized as Safe, or GRAS.
Wait, a loophole?
Mhm.
So just so I'm getting this straight, a corporation gets to do its own safety study on its own chemical
Correct.
and then just declare it safe. Doesn't that sort of defeat the whole purpose of a safety study?
It does. You could say it's a bit of a conflict of interest. The GRAS process basically let manufacturers grade their own homework, and they all gave themselves an A+.
And I'm guessing the system today hasn't exactly caught up.
It is painfully narrow. Researchers have identified over 600 different compounds of these forever chemicals out there.
600, okay.
And the FDA, it currently identifies and tests for only 6 of them. The EPA also just tests for a small fraction.
So they're looking for a few specific grains of sand, while the entire beach is made of invisible glitter.
That's the reality of it. And if you only look for 6, then the other 594 can keep being used without any regulation.
And the timeline for action is, what, inspiring?
Not exactly. It wasn't until the 2020s that the FDA started a voluntary phase-out agreement with manufacturers for food packaging.
Voluntary. Of course it is. And they still haven't enforced wide bans. It just shows you where the priorities are, doesn't it?
It does. And the consequences of that slow action, they hit us right where we live, in our water.
Right. So we can laugh about the absurdity of it all. But the problem is now in our kitchens. It's in our drinking water. And that's the greatest exposure.
It is. So the first and most critical strategy has to be limitation. You have to do a water audit.
Which means getting a filter that actually works.
And knowing that the cheapest option is almost always the most expensive in the long run, there was some great research done that evaluated filters for removing 25 specific PFAS chemicals.
And the results were pretty stark, right? Only 3 of them removed 100%.
That's it. Only 3.
So let's break down the cost, because I think this is a huge aha moment for people where spending more upfront actually saves you a ton of money and, protects your health.
Let's do it. So we'll start with the cheap one everyone knows, the zero water filter. Initial cost is just, what, $19?
Seems great. Super affordable.
It seems great, yeah. But the filters only last for 20 gallons. They get saturated, and then they just stop working.
20 gallons is nothing. That's a few days for a family.
Exactly. So if you're using it every day, you'd need to buy around 37 filters a year. Your annual cost suddenly jumps to $646.
Whoa. Okay, so that friendly $19 price tag is a total illusion. What about the mid-range option?
The clearly filtered system, it's about $90 up front. The filters last for 100 gallons, which is better.
Better. So what's the annual cost on that one?
You'd need about 7 filters a year, so it comes down to $436. Still, a lot of money.
Still hundreds of dollars. Okay, so now for the big one, the one that makes you kind of wince at the initial price tag. The Travel Berkey Gravity Filter. It's around $327.
Right, a big upfront cost. But here's where the math completely flips. Those filters are designed to last for 6,000 gallons.
6,000. So that one set of filters lasts for how long?
Well, over 8 years before you'd need a full replacement.
Better than 8 years. Okay, so what does that break down to, like, annually?
About $40 a year.
40.
$40 versus $646.
Exactly. The investment pays for itself so many times over, and all while it's doing the most important job, stopping the source. That is always step one. Okay, but step one isn't enough because we're already living in the glitter bomb. A perfectly toxic-free life is impossible.
Impossible. So strategy number 2 is you have to build up your body's internal tolerance. Strengthen your own detoxification pathways. Basically, you need biochemical armor.
So how do we get the existing stuff out, the poisons that are already hiding in our fat cells?
Well, the interesting thing is that these chemicals are lipophilic. They love fat. So one of the best ways to get them out is to mobilize them. Intense heat and sweating can literally push them out through your skin.
So hitting a sauna or just a really intense workout?
It really helps eliminate some of them, yes.
And what about something like autophagy? We talk about it as the body's recycling program.
Absolutely. Autophagy, which you can trigger through intermittent fasting or a prolonged fast, helps the body clean up old, damaged cells and pathogens. And research shows it also helps break down these stubborn chemical structures.
Okay. Any other methods for active elimination?
Infrared light can also really help. You can get that from a dedicated sauna or, just by getting morning and evening sun exposure.
All right, let's talk about food as armor. What's on the grocery list to supercharge our own detox enzymes?
The big one is sulfur. Sulfur compounds directly help the detox enzymes that have to deal with these chemicals. So think simple stuff: eggs, garlic, and especially onions.
And cruciferous vegetables, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. Cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, they're packed with sulfur and a ton of antioxidants.
Okay, and we have to talk about glutathione. It's the body's master antioxidant. And the way to boost it is, well, it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It is a bit ironic. To build glutathione, you need specific amino acids, especially glutamine, and the best source of glutamine.
Red meat. The very thing everyone tells you to avoid.
Red meat.
The irony of needing to eat more steak to survive the modern world is, it's just perfect.
Another one is glycine, which you get from collagen. So bone broth, high collagen animal parts, that whole nose to tail idea. It's about using the parts that are rich in the exact materials your body needs to rebuild and detoxify.
And with all those vegetables, we need probiotics. So sauerkraut.
Yes, but it has to be raw sauerkraut. The pasteurization process kills all the good microbes that actually help your gut get rid of these forever chemicals.
Good tip. Go for the raw stuff.
And if you can find red cabbage sauerkraut, even better, you get an extra dose of antioxidants.
Okay, finally, these chemicals are known to really mess with the thyroid. So what do we need to protect it?
We need specific trace minerals. Selenium, iodine, and copper are absolutely vital for thyroid health.
And where do we find those?
Selenium is easy, a few Brazil nuts a day. Shellfish, oysters. And you'll find all 3 of them, again, in seafood, shellfish, and good quality grass-fed red meat. Building that internal resilience really comes down to these specific nutrients.
So let's bring this deep dive home. It sounds like we have 2 main lines of defense against the invisible glitter bomb.
That's right.
First, you stop the source. Minimize external exposure by making that smarter long-term investment in a really good water filter. And second, you supercharge your internal defenses. You use things like sweating and fasting, you load up on sulfur, key minerals, and you embrace the delicious irony of eating more steak and raw cabbage.
Look, knowing that 97% of us are carrying these chemicals, It's unsettling. It's a depressing fact. But the point here is empowerment. Your body has these amazing biochemical defenses, and now you know how to arm them.
Right.
Resilience isn't about trying to find some perfectly clean bubble to live in. That's impossible. It's about optimizing your own biology to be strong enough to handle the world we actually live in.
In a world full of invisible glitter, maybe the best armor is a plate of raw sauerkraut and a really good steak.